Good evening. Convicted killer Sabrina Limon back in a Kern County courtroom this morning. She was hoping to get a new trial with her new attorney, arguing she didn't have an adequate defense team last year.
We have live 23 ABC News team coverage of today's ruling from the judge and what happens next. We'll hear from Scott Sheehan in a moment, but first, Brandon Johansson was in the courtroom when Limon learned her fate today. Brandon?
That's right, guys. A lot of emotion on both sides in the courtroom today, as you might imagine. But ultimately, Judge Brownlee denying that motion for a new trial and handing down the sentence of 25 years to life in prison for Sabrina Limon.
It all came to an end on Wednesday morning. Sabrina Limon officially sentenced for the murder of her husband, Robert Limon, back in 2014. Before the sentencing was handed down, Limon's attorney Sharon Beth Marshall making a final plea for a new trial, saying that Limon's prior attorney didn't adequately defend or prepare her.
Motion for new trial is denied.
But Judge John Brownlee didn't budge.
Proceed to sentencing.
Limon's attorney making a last-ditch request for probation after the motion was denied, reading letters from the Limon children, pleading for Sabrina's release. Brownlee denied probation and made a request of his own.
So I'm going to make a simple request of both Sabrina's side of the family and Rob's side of the family. Don't continue to make the children victims.
Robert's sister, Chris Wilson, placing a picture of Robert on the table, facing Sabrina as she gave her final testimony before sentencing. The judgment was then handed down. Sabrina Limon was officially sentenced on 4 counts, including 25 years to life on both murder and conspiracy.
Never getting out.
Despite 25 years at the front of her sentence, Limon's attorney says it's what's at the end that means the most for her client.
I tell my clients that anytime they have a life on the end of their sentence, they are not getting out of prison. I tell their families that too.
Marshall bringing up her motion after court was adjourned, once again saying that Limon's former attorney Richard Terry was to blame.
This girl got railroaded. She was not properly defended at trial.
As the families left the courtroom, there was a brief confrontation just outside the doors that had to be broken up by the bailiff. But once outside the courthouse, both sides turned the focus towards the children.
And it's the kids that suffer so bad.
I just hope one day we get to be a part of Robbie and Leanna's life. You know, they're the ones that are suffering in the long term over the whole thing.
Then bringing it back to Sabrina's sentencing.
It's not something that we wanted. We didn't even want her to be involved in it, but unfortunately she has to pay for her actions. Life is life, and she took a life, she'll serve life.
My sister, Sabrina, is an amazing, amazing person. That will never change.
Sabrina's family saying the end hasn't arrived just yet.
We will file an appeal, and we won't stop. We will not stop until she comes home to us.
Now, Limon's attorney said that if the family does want to appeal, they'll have to file a notice of an appeal within the next 60 days. For now in downtown Bakersfield, Brandon Johansson, 23 ABC News.
All right, Brandon, thanks for that. 23 ABC Scott Sheehan also at the courthouse this morning. He joins us now with a live look back at the case and the trial that captured Kern County's attention for years. Scott, good evening.
Tim, people from all over the country have been following this story, during the trial. During the trial, Jonathan Hearn said that this love story turned into a deadly love triangle when he met Sabrina Limon while shopping at Costco in August of 2012.
At that point, I said, I recognized that she was married, and we agreed to just talk as friends. And however, the flirting did continue.
The flirting didn't just continue. It later grew over 2 years. Hearn testified that Sabrina Limon and Hearn started with texting and phone calls, leading to pictures, including nude pictures, and eventually to sex.
I felt guilty, for the affair.
Hearn testified saying he and Limon had an emotional connection, as shown in this Valentine's Day letter in 2014, and led Hearn and Limon to talk about their future together and the possibility of their own marriage.
February 14th, 2014, did that future include the death of Robert Limon?
Yes.
Hearn said he and Limon started joking, then seriously talking about a plan on how to remove Sabrina's husband, Robert Limon, from their love triangle by killing him.
She asked me how I thought would be best, and we discussed, I believe, car accident and fire, and quickly skipped over those and arrived at poisoning.
This love triangle ended with Robert's death and Sabrina and Hearn fighting with each other in court over who was the mastermind in Robert's murder. Hearn took a plea deal, agreeing to testify against Sabrina and admitting to shooting and killing Robert Limon.
If you knew that Jonathan killed your husband, would you have been involved in a relationship with him after your husband was killed?
No.
The drama in the courtroom drew national attention, ranging from ABC National News in New York to magazines and other national media outlets that follow trials. Limon's sentencing had nearly 1,000 people watching on our Facebook live stream today.
Now, when we talked with Sabrina Limon's attorney, she says that despite the extensive coverage of this trial, that she thinks that if their appeal is granted and they can get a new trial, that they can have a fair trial here in Bakersfield. Outside the county courthouse, Scott Sheehan, 23 ABC News.